I woke up from the coma and heard my son say, "The old woman goes to the nursing home as soon as he dies." I didn't open my eyes. I didn't move. I forced myself to remain perfectly still, pretending I was still lost somewhere between life and death. The machines around me continued their steady beeping, cold and mechanical, but inside my mind, I was fully awake. Every word that came out of his mouth landed like a hammer striking bare bone. Not my heart. That had been shattered long before. This pain hit something deeper. My pride, my dignity, the decades of sacrifice, the lifetime I believed I had built for my family. My son, my own flesh and blood, the baby boy I once held in my arms when he barely weighed 7 pounds. The child whose tiny fingers wrapped around mine as if I were the entire world. The same boy I taught how to ride a bicycle in the backyard of our Beverly Hills home, running behind him until my legs burned, refusing to let him fall. The boy I took to Disneyland 3 separate times because he loved it so much, because his laughter made every dollar worth it. That same child now stood beside my hospital bed, calmly discussing how to discard his mother like an old piece of furniture. "It's for the best, Sarah," he said casually, his voice devoid of emotion. "You know how Mom is. She won't manage on her own." The mention of my wife, my Beatrice, felt like a blade twisting inside me. "The Belmont nursing home is good. It has gardens, walking paths. She won't even notice the change." Sarah didn't respond immediately. The silence stretched just long enough to ignite a flicker of hope inside me. Maybe my daughter, my little girl, the apple of my eye, would object. Maybe she would remember the bedtime stories, the late-night talks, the sacrifices her mother made for her. Maybe she would defend her. "What if Dad recovers?" she finally asked. For a split second, I wanted to believe those words came from concern. "The doctor said it's a miracle he's even alive. And even if he wakes up, you know he won't be the same. He won't be able to work. He won't be able to run anything." There was a pause, and then he finished the thought that shattered any illusion I had left. "It's better if we take control now. I've already talked to the lawyer." And there it was. They weren't worried about whether I would live. They weren't worried about whether I would recover. They were worried about the money, the companies, the properties, everything I had spent 40 years building from nothing. My name is Michael Sullivan. I'm 57 years old, though lying in that hospital bed, listening to my children plan my life like a business transaction, I felt closer to 90. 6 days earlier, I had suffered a stroke in the middle of a work meeting. I collapsed in front of investors, colleagues, men who depended on me. According to the doctors, I don't remember the first days afterwards. Just darkness, endless, suffocating darkness. Then came awareness, sounds, smells, sensations, and voices. Voices that exposed the true faces of the people I loved most. I wasn't born into privilege. I grew up in a rough neighborhood in Jersey. My father was a mechanic, his hands always stained with oil. My mother sold hot dogs from a small cart outside our house. We didn't have money, not even close. But we had love. We had dignity. We had hunger. I was the first in my family to graduate high school, the first to attend college. I studied civil engineering at a state university, working during the day and studying late into the night. 4 hours of sleep was a luxury. Sometimes I survived on 3. I never complained. I knew education was my way out. I met Beatrice when I was 23. She worked in the university library. She wasn't flashy or artificial. She was naturally beautiful, radiant in a way that didn't demand attention but commanded it anyway. When she smiled at me, I felt invincible. We married 6 months later. No fancy ceremony, just the courthouse, our parents, and a small celebration at her mother's house with chili and beer. It was the happiest day of my life. Beatrice believed in me when no one else did. When I said I wanted to start my own construction company, people laughed. She didn't. When months passed without contracts and our dinners consisted of beans and tortillas, she never complained.
The night I pawned her wedding ring to pay my employees, she hugged me and whispered, "We'll get it back, you'll see." And we did. Within 10 years, my company grew from 3 employees to 120. We built neighborhoods, offices, shopping centers. My name became trusted. The money followed, slowly at first, then in waves. At 35, I bought our first home in Beverly Hills. 5 bedrooms, a garden, a pool. Beatrice cried when I handed her the keys. "This is ours?" I told her, "all ours." Robert was born a year later. Sarah followed 2 years after that. Those were the golden years. I worked too much, I admit that. I missed school plays, I missed soccer games, but every sacrifice was for them. Private schools, languages, music lessons, European vacations. Robert studied business at MIT. Sarah pursued fashion design in New York. I brought her a Manhattan apartment so she'd never have to struggle. I brought Robert into the company immediately, grooming him as my successor. But he never had my hunger, never had my fire. Money had always been there for him, and when you've never fought for something, you don't understand its worth. He became careless, late, arrogant. I fixed his mistakes quietly, believing maturity would come. Sarah married Daniel, a Spanish architect, polished, charming. At first I liked him. Later I realized he liked my money more. I brought them a mansion in the Hollywood Hills. I gave Sarah a 20% stake in one of my companies. I wanted her independent. Instead, I made her entitled. Luxury corrupted them both. Cars, clubs, trips, excess. When I warned Robert, he laughed. "I'm enjoying life, Dad. That's why you worked so hard, right?" No, I worked to build a legacy. Beatrice saw the danger long before I did. "You're spoiling them," she warned. "I'm giving them what I never had," I argued. She was right. I was wrong. Then came the distance. Missed dinners, short calls, and finally, demands. Loans they never repaid. 6 months ago, I discovered Robert had forged my signature for a $5 million loan. He showed no remorse. Then came the stroke. 6 days in a coma. 6 days of silence. 6 days while my children prepared to divide my life. As I lay there, pretending to sleep, hearing them plan my future and condemn my wife, one sentence echoed louder than all others. "She's going to the home."
Beatrice, my wife, the woman who had been by my side for 34 years, the woman who supported me when we had nothing, the woman who sacrificed her own dreams so I could chase mine, the woman who raised those 2 ungrateful kids who were now planning to lock her in a nursing home. I wanted to scream. I wanted to open my eyes and confront them right there. But something stopped me. A voice inside me said, "Wait, listen. You need to know the whole truth." And I kept listening. "The Belmont home costs $10,000 a month," Robert continued. "It's expensive, but it has good facilities, and most importantly, it's far away. She won't be around to bother us or ask about the businesses or the money." "Do you think Mom will agree?" Sarah asked. Robert let out a bitter laugh. "Mom doesn't have to agree. When Dad is gone, we make the decisions. She has nothing in her name. Everything is in Dad's name." It was true. A mistake I now understood clearly. All the properties, all the companies, all the bank accounts were in my name. I thought I was protecting Beatrice, that if something happened to me, the children would take care of her. I never imagined they would be the ones to betray her. "What do we do with the properties?" Sarah asked. "We sell the Beverly Hills house. It's worth at least $50 million. The rental apartments, we keep those as investments. And the company's shares, we split them between us." "Daniel says we should sell the whole construction company," Sarah interjected. "He says we could get a few $100 million if we sell it to a Spanish company that's interested." Daniel, of course, the Spanish architect, the one who seemed so polite and respectful. It turns out he was the brains behind all of this. "Not a bad idea," Robert replied. "With that money, we could invest in something more profitable. Construction isn't what it used to be."
They were talking about destroying what took me 40 years to build, selling my company like it was scrap metal, splitting the money and disappearing. And worst of all, they were talking about abandoning their mother. I kept my eyes closed. The heart monitor showed my heart was beating normally. The blood pressure machine showed stable numbers. To everyone, I was still in a coma. But inside, I was wide awake, completely conscious and completely shattered. They talked for a few more minutes. Details about lawyers, attorneys, bank accounts. They had it all planned. They had coordinated everything. They were just waiting for one thing, for me to disappear. "And where's Mom now?" Sarah suddenly asked. "She went home to change clothes. I told her to take her time, that I'd stay here and watch Dad." Another knife twist. Robert wasn't here watching me. He was here watching me, waiting like a vulture, waiting for its prey to finally die. "Well, I'm leaving," Sarah said. "I have to pick up the kids from school. Let me know if anything changes." "Sure, but I doubt anything will happen. The doctor said he could be like this for weeks or months." I heard Sarah's footsteps walking away. The door opened and closed. Robert stayed alone with me. I felt his presence nearby. He walked over to the bed. For a moment, I thought he was going to do something. I don't know what, but I felt fear, real fear. "I wish it had been quick, old man," I heard him mutter. "This is getting complicated and expensive. Every day in this hospital costs a fortune." Then he walked away. I heard him sit in the chair by the window, the sound of his phone. He was sending messages, probably planning more things, more betrayals. I lay there motionless for hours. Robert fell asleep at some point. I could hear him snoring, and I, with my eyes closed, was thinking, planning. For the first time in 6 days, my mind was crystal clear. I was not going to let them do this to me. I was not going to let them do this to Beatrice. We had worked too hard, we had sacrificed too much, and we were not going to end our days separated. Her in a nursing home and me in a hospital bed, while our children wasted everything we built. But I needed a plan, and I needed Beatrice to know it. Night fell over the hospital. Robert was still there, dozing in the chair, waking up every so often to check his phone. I remained motionless, my eyes closed, but my mind was racing. I had to contact Beatrice. It was urgent. But how? I couldn't move without Robert noticing. I couldn't speak. The nurses came in every 2 hours to check my vitals, but Robert was always present. There was no way to pass a message. Then, around 11 at night, I heard different footsteps, lighter, familiar. "Good evening," a soft voice said. It was the nurse, Linda, the one who had been caring for me those first few days, an older woman, maybe in her 60s, with warm hands and a motherly voice. I had liked her from the start, even if I wasn't conscious then to tell her. "Good evening," Robert replied in a sleepy voice. "How's my father?" "He's stable," she replied. "I'm just going to check on him. Why don't you go get some coffee? You must be exhausted from being here all day." "I am fine," Robert answered. "I insist," Linda said firmly. "You need to clear your head. The cafeteria is on the 2nd floor. It's open all night. Take 15 minutes. I'll stay with your father." There was a pause. Robert hesitated. "All right," he finally said. 15 minutes. I heard his footsteps fade. The door closed. And then I felt Linda's hand on my forehead. "He's gone," Linda whispered. "You can open your eyes, Mr. Sullivan." My heart skipped a beat. How did she know? I slowly opened my eyes. Linda was looking at me with a sad smile. "I knew yesterday afternoon," she said quietly. "I've been working in intensive care for 30 years. I know how to recognize when a patient is waking up and when they're awake and faking it. Your eye movements under your eyelids gave you away." I tried to speak, but my voice came out raspy, weak. "My wife—" "I know," Linda said. "I heard your children this afternoon. That's why I sent that young man for coffee. We don't have much time. I need to talk to Beatrice," I managed to say. Linda pulled out her cell phone. "What's her number?" I told her. It was hard to pronounce the numbers, but I did it. She dialed and put the phone on speaker. Low. 3 rings. 4. 5. "Hello? Beatrice's voice answered. She sounded tired, broken. "Mrs. Sullivan?" Linda asked. "This is Linda, your husband's nurse. I need you to come to the hospital immediately, and come alone. It's urgent, very urgent." "What happened? Is Michael okay?" "Your husband is perfectly fine," Linda said, looking at me. "Better than you can imagine, but I need you to come now. And please don't tell anyone, not a soul. Do you understand?" There was a silence on the other end. "I understand," Beatrice replied. Her voice had changed.
She had caught something in Linda's tone. "I'll be there 20 minutes. Linda hung up. "Your son will be back any minute. You have to keep pretending. Can you do that?" I nodded. "Good. When your wife gets here, I'll let her in. Your son will probably be here, but I'll make up something to get him out of the room for a few minutes. Use that time." "Thank you," I managed to whisper. She squeezed my hand. "I've seen a lot of ugly things in this hospital, Mr. Sullivan. Families fighting over inheritances while the patient is still breathing, children abandoning their parents. But what I heard today, that was particularly cruel. You and your wife don't deserve this." I closed my eyes just as the door opened. Robert was back. "How is he?" he asked. "The same," Linda replied professionally. "No changes, but his signs are good. His body is responding well to the treatment." "How much longer do you think he'll be like this?" "It's impossible to know. He could wake up tomorrow, or it could take weeks. The brain is unpredictable." Robert sighed, a sigh of frustration, not worry. That much was clear. Linda finished checking on me and left the room. The next 20 minutes were the longest of my life. I listened to Robert typing on his phone, mumbling occasionally, probably coordinating with Daniel or Sarah. Then I heard voices outside. One of them was Beatrice. "Good evening. I'm here to see my husband." The door opened. Beatrice walked in. I could smell her perfume, the same perfume she'd worn since I met her, lavender and vanilla, the smell of my home. "Mom," Robert said, "what are you doing here so late?" "I couldn't sleep," she said. "I needed to see him." She walked over to my bed. I felt her hand take mine. It was shaking. "Has there been any change?" she asked. "No," Robert replied. "He's the same." Just then, Linda came back in. "Excuse me," she said. "Mr. Robert, could you come with me for a moment? I need you to sign some documents at the nurse's station. It's about the insurance and the treatment costs. Can't it wait until tomorrow?" "I'm afraid not. There are administrative procedures that have to be resolved tonight. It won't take more than 5 minutes." Robert got up grudgingly. "Fine, I'll be right back, Mom." He left with Linda. The door closed. I opened my eyes immediately. "Michael!" Beatrice gasped. Tears streamed down her cheeks. "Oh my God, you're awake!" I finished. "Listen, my love, we have very little time. I need you to listen to me carefully." She looked at me, scared and confused, but she nodded. "I heard them," I said. "Robert and Sarah, I heard everything. I know what they're planning to do with you. The nursing home, selling everything. Everything." Beatrice put a hand to her mouth. I knew something was wrong, but I thought— "There's no time for that now," I interrupted. "I need you to do exactly what I'm about to tell you. Do you hear me? Exactly." She nodded, wiping her tears. "First, don't tell anyone I'm awake. No one. Not the doctors, not the other nurses. Only Linda. She's on our side." "Why?" "Because I need time. Time to plan. If they know I'm conscious, they'll speed up their plans. They'll try to make me sign papers. They'll find doctors to say I'm not mentally competent. I know how this works, Beatrice. I've seen similar cases with other businessmen." She nodded, still shaking. "Second, tomorrow morning, go to the bank, the Chase branch on Park Avenue. Ask for Mr. Vial. He's the manager. Tell him I sent you. You need access to the safe deposit box." "What's in the safe deposit box?" "Important documents, contracts, deeds, and cash. A lot of cash. There's about $5 million in bills." Beatrix's eyes went wide. "It's emergency money," I explained. "I've always been cautious. Take it all. Put it in 2 suitcases. Take it home and hide it well. In the basement, behind the Christmas decorations. No one ever looks there." "Michael, you're scaring me." "Good. You should be scared, because what's coming isn't going to be easy." I gripped her hand tighter. "Third, contact Mendoza, my personal attorney, the one at the downtown firm. Tell him you need to see him urgently, that it's a matter of life and death. He'll understand." "And what do I tell him?"
You tell him you need a power of attorney, a broad, irrevocable power of attorney that gives you total control over all my properties and companies while I'm incapacitated. But Robert said he was already working on that. Robert is trying to, but Mendoza has been my lawyer for 20 years. He won't do anything without talking to me or getting my explicit authorization. And when you show up, he'll know what to do. He's a smart, loyal man, one of the few left. Beatrix's breathing was heavily. What else? Fourth, start pulling money from the accounts. Not all at once or it'll raise suspicions, but start pulling it. $5,000 here, $10,000 there. Use different ATMs, different branches. Michael, this sounds like we're planning to run away. I looked her straight in the eyes, because that is exactly what we are going to do. She froze. Listen to me, my love. Our children betrayed us. The family we built, the family we sacrificed everything for, they betrayed us. And I am not going to wait here for them to lock me in this hospital while they put you in a home and steal everything we built. But run away where? Far away. A place where they can't find us, where we can start over. Michael, we're almost 60 years old. Start over? We did it once when we had nothing, I reminded her. We can do it again. This time we have experience, we have resources, and most importantly, we have each other. Tears were still falling down her cheeks, but now there was something else in her eyes, something I hadn't seen in a long time. Fire, determination. When? She asked simply. Soon, very soon. But first, I need to recover a little more. I need to be able to walk. I need to be able to take care of myself. Give me a week, maybe 2. What if the doctors discharge you? They won't. I'll make sure they think I'm still in bad shape, that I need more observation. In fact, I paused. Tell the doctors you want a second opinion, that you want to fly in a specialist from Houston.
Will buy us time. Robert will object. Let him object. You are legally my wife. As long as I'm incapacitated, you have the final say in medical decisions, not him. Beatrice nodded. I could see her mind processing everything. One more thing, I added. Start packing. Not a lot, just the essentials. Clothes, personal documents, photos that are important to you. But do it discreetly. If Robert or Sarah ask, tell them you're donating things that you're cleaning to keep your mind busy. Where exactly are we going? I've been thinking. Porto, in Portugal. It has a good expat community, a reasonable cost of living, an excellent healthcare system, and, most importantly, nobody knows us there. We can start completely fresh and be just Michael and Beatrice again. She smiled through her tears. It's been a long time since we were just Michael and Beatrice. I know. And that was part of the problem. We became Robert and Sarah's parents, the providers, the personal bank, but we forgot to be us. We heard footsteps outside. Robert was coming back. Close your eyes, Beatrice whispered. I closed them just as the door opened. Everything okay, Mom? Robert asked. Yes, she replied. Her voice was firm now, controlled. I was just talking to them. They say patients in a coma can still hear, that it helps them. How nice, Robert said, but his tone was completely empty. There was no affection there, nothing. I'm going to go, Beatrice said. I need to rest. Of course, Wom. Drive safe. I felt Beatrice's lips on my forehead, a soft kiss, and then her voice, barely a whisper next to my ear. I love you. We are going to get through this. Her footsteps faded. The door closed, and I lay there motionless, my eyes closed, but for the first time in days, I felt hope. Beatrice was with me, and together, like always, we were going to find a way. The next few days were the hardest of my life. I had to remain completely motionless for hours, faking my unconsciousness when the doctors came to check on me, listening to Robert and Sarah's conversations, planning my future as if I no longer existed. But they were also days of awakening, of rediscovering myself, of remembering who I was before I became the provider, the successful businessman, the accommodating father. Beatrice came twice a day, in the morning and at night. She always made sure Robert or Sarah weren't present. Linda helped her, inventing excuses to get my children out of the room for a few minutes.
In those brief moments, Beatrice updated me. She had gone to the bank. She had emptied the safe deposit box. She had spoken to Mendoza. Everything was in motion. "Robert went to see Mendoza yesterday," she whispered one afternoon. "He asked him to draft the power of attorney in his favor. Mendoza told him he needed to speak with you first, that it was standard procedure. Robert was furious. What did Mendoza do? He told him that without your explicit consent, he couldn't do anything, that it was his duty as your lawyer. Robert threatened to report him to the Bar Association. Mendoza is smarter than that," I said. "He knows how to handle these situations." "There's something else," Beatrice added. "Robert hired a private investigator." My heart sped up. "For what?" "To look into all our bank accounts. He wants to know exactly how much we have and where it all is." "Did you get the money out of the accounts?" "Like I said, yes, little by little. I've already got almost $2 million in cash hidden at home, but I'm scared, Michael. What if they find something?" "They won't find anything," I assured her. "The money from the safe deposit box doesn't appear on any bank record. It's completely invisible. And the cash you're pulling out is in small amounts that can easily be justified as household expenses." The doctors came every day to evaluate me. I had learned to control my breathing, to keep my muscles completely relaxed, to not react when they pricked me or moved me. Dr. Evans, the lead neurologist, was baffled. "It's strange," he told Robert. "His vital signs are good. The brain scan shows the swelling has gone down considerably. He should be waking up." "What does it mean if he doesn't?" Robert asked, and I could hear his anxiety in his voice. He needed me to wake up so he could execute his plans, but he also needed me to be just weak enough not to object. "It could be a variety of factors," Dr. Evans replied. "Sometimes the brain just needs more time to heal. We'll keep monitoring." One afternoon, Sarah came alone. She sat by my bed and stayed there in silence for almost an hour. I wondered what she was thinking. Did she have any remorse, any doubts about what they were planning? Then she spoke in a low voice, almost as if she were talking to herself. "I don't know if you can hear me, Dad. They say people in a coma can hear. I don't know if it's true." She paused. "Robert says we should sell everything, that it's the best option. Daniel agrees. They say it's how we can secure our future." "The future of your grandchildren?" "My grandchildren?" Now they were thinking about my grandchildren, the same grandchildren they rarely let me see because they were always too busy. "I'm not so sure," she continued. "It's your company, your life's work. It feels wrong to sell it all like this. But Robert says you would understand, that you always just wanted us to be okay." She paused again for a long time. "And about Mom," her voice cracked a little. "I don't want her to go to a home, I really don't, but Robert says it's for the best, that we can't take care of her, that she'll be better off there with professionals." So Sarah had doubts, but not enough to do anything about it, not enough to defend me or to defend her mother. "I miss you, Dad," she said finally. "I wish you could wake up and tell me what to do. You always knew what to do." She got up and left the room, and I lay there with a broken heart, because I realized something. Sarah wasn't evil, but she was weak. She had let Robert and Daniel take control. She had given up her will in exchange for not having to make hard decisions. But weakness or malice, the result was the same. She was willing to abandon her mother. She was willing to sell everything I had built. And in the end, that's all that mattered.
That night, when Beatrice came, I told her about Sarah's visit. "Maybe we could talk to her," Beatrice suggested. "Maybe if she knows you're awake, if she sees you can recover." "No," I interrupted. "It's too risky. We don't know whose side she's really on. And if she tells Robert, but she's our daughter, Michael." "She was our daughter," I corrected bitterly. "Now I don't know what she is." Beatrice fell silent. She knew I was right, even if it hurt to admit it. "Did you get the passports?" I asked, changing the subject. "Yes, they're hidden with the money." "And the tickets?" "Not yet. You said to wait until we knew the exact date." "Good. I think I'm almost ready. I can move my toes without any problem. My legs are responding. Tomorrow, I'm going to try moving my arms when no one is looking. If all goes well, we can leave in a week. Where exactly? I've been thinking. Portugal. The city of Porto. It has a good expat community, reasonable cost of living, excellent healthcare, and most importantly, nobody knows us there. We can start completely fresh. And the money, we can't take $5 million in cash on a plane. We're not taking it all. We'll take enough for the first few months. The rest, we'll transfer it slowly through different banks to accounts I'll open in Portugal. It will take time, but we'll do it right without raising suspicions. Beatrice nodded. Mendoza gave me some documents yesterday. He said they were important, that you should read them when you could. What kind of documents? I don't know. They're sealed. I have them in my purse. Bring them tomorrow. I need to see them. The next day, when Linda managed to get Robert out of the room with an excuse about a hospital bill, Beatrice gave me the envelope. I opened it carefully. They were legal documents, contracts, and a handwritten letter from Mendoza. Mr. Sullivan, the letter began, if you are reading this, it means Mrs. Sullivan trusted me enough to bring you this envelope. I want you to know that I am on your side. I have witnessed many family betrayals in my career, but what your children are trying to do is particularly vile. The attached documents are certified copies of all your property deeds and company contracts. I also included a power of attorney that gives Mrs. Sullivan full and total control over all your assets. It is dated 3 months before your accident. It's completely legal and valid. If Robert tries anything, this document stops him cold. I also took the liberty of temporarily freezing several corporate accounts, citing accounting irregularities that need to be investigated. This will buy you time. Use this time wisely, and if you need to disappear, as I suspect you are planning, know that you have my complete support and discretion. I've also enclosed contact information for trusted people in Europe who can help you get settled. Take care, Mr. Sullivan, and take care of Mrs. Sullivan. You deserve peace after so many years of work. With respect and loyalty, Rafael Mendoza. I looked at Beatrice. She had tears in her eyes. There are still good people in the world, she whispered. Yes, I replied, and we're going to need all the help we can get. 5 more days passed. 5 days of me perfecting my act. 5 days of Beatrice preparing our escape, and 5 days where Robert and Sarah grew more and more impatient. I don't understand why he isn't waking up, I heard Robert say to Dr. Evans one morning. It's been almost 2 weeks. Isn't that too long? Every patient is different, Mr. Sullivan, the doctor replied with professional patience. I've seen cases where people wake up after months. Months? Robert's voice was alarmed. Are you saying my father could be like this for months? It's a possibility. Or he could wake up tomorrow. As I said, it's unpredictable. After the doctor left, Robert made a phone call. I heard him clearly. Daniel, we have a problem. The old man isn't waking up, and the doctor says it could take months. No, we can't wait that long. The hospital expenses are piling up, and Mendoza won't release control of the corporate accounts. Yes, I know you said freezing the accounts was temporary, but we need access now. We need another plan. There was a pause as he listened to what Daniel said on the other end. Are you sure that's legal? Robert asked. Another pause. Fine, do it, but do it fast. He hung up, and I knew our time was running out. Whatever Daniel was planning, we had to move soon. That night, when Beatrice arrived, I told her about the call. They must be planning some legal move to take control from me, I said. They're probably going to try to have me declared mentally incompetent. With that, they could nullify the power of attorney Mendoza gave me. Can they do that? If they get doctors to testify that I'm not in my right mind, yes, and with enough money, they can get any doctor they need. Beatrice looked terrified. What do we do? We're leaving now, this week. But you said you needed more time to recover. I'm recovered enough. I've been practicing when no one is watching. I can walk. A little shaky maybe, but I can do it. It's now or never, Beatrice. She took my hand. When? Day after tomorrow. Friday. It's the perfect day. Robert always has his partners meeting on Friday afternoons. Sarah takes the kids to the swimming lessons. They'll be busy. And how do we get out of the hospital? Leave that to me. I have a plan. The next day, Thursday, I asked Linda to help me with something very specific. I need you to get me a set of men's scrubs,
Large, I whispered when she managed to get a moment alone with me. For what? For tomorrow. I'm leaving here tomorrow, and I need to get out without anyone recognizing me. Linda looked with concern. Are you sure you're ready? Physically, I mean? I'm ready, and if I wait any longer, it will be too late. She nodded slowly. All right, I'll get the scrubs. Anything else? Yes, tomorrow, around 3 p.m., I need a distraction on this floor. Something that makes all the nurses and doctors run to the other end of the hall. It doesn't have to be real, it just has to look real. A false alarm? Exactly. Can you do it? Linda thought for a moment. I can accidentally trigger the fire alarm at the other end of the hall. That will make everyone run over there. You'll have maybe 5 minutes before they realize it's a false alarm. 5 minutes is all I need. That night, Beatrice arrived with a small suitcase. Inside were clothes for me. Casual clothes, jeans, a shirt, sneakers, nothing that would draw attention. The tickets are bought, she whispered. We leave tomorrow at 8 p.m. from the airport. Direct flight to Madrid, then a connection to Porto. Did you use your credit card? No, I paid cash at a travel agency, just like you said. Good. And the money? I have 2 suitcases ready in the car, with clothes and the cash. Everything we need for the first few months. What did you tell Robert and Sarah? That I was spending the day with my sister in the Hamptons, that I needed to clear my head. Robert didn't even ask for details. Sarah just told me to have fun.
Beatrix's voice cracked a little on that last part. I hugged her as best I could from the hospital bed. I know, my love, I know this is hard, but this is what we have to do. I still can't believe we're running away from our own children. We're not running from them, we're saving ourselves from them. There's a difference. Beatrice wiped her tears. Are you sure you can walk to the parking garage? I'll walk as far as I have to. I've been practicing. Last night when Robert fell asleep, I got out of bed and walked all around the room. My legs are sore, but they work. And if something goes wrong, nothing is going to go wrong. Trust me, Beatrice. One last time. Trust me. She kissed me. A long, deep kiss. A kiss that tasted like goodbye. Goodbye to this life we had built, to this city we knew, to this family that had broken. I love you, she whispered. I've always loved you, since the first day I saw you in that library. And I love you. You're the only real thing in my life, the only thing worth saving. Friday. The day had come. Robert arrived early, as usual. He sat in his chair by the window, checking his phone. At 11 in the morning, Sarah came in. Any change? She asked. None, Robert replied in frustration. He's the same, like a rock. The doctor said we need to have patience. I've had enough patience, Sarah snapped. Daniel spoke to a lawyer yesterday. We can start the process to have him declared legally incompetent. And Mom is on board with that? We're not asking Mom. She's too emotional right now. She can't make objective decisions. Sarah fell silent. Look, Robert continued, I know this is hard, but we have to think about the future, about our families, the kids. Dad built all this for us, right? Well, now it's our turn to manage it. I guess you're right, Sarah said, though her voice sounded uncertain. At 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Robert left. He had to prepare for his partners' meeting. Sarah stayed a little longer, but at 2 she left too. She had to pick up her kids. I'll be back later, Dad, she said before she left. I love you. She loved me? Really? Because love isn't just about words, it's about actions, and her actions were saying something very different. At 5 minutes to 3, Linda walked in. She was carrying a plastic bag. Here are the scrubs, she whispered, and take this too. She handed me a baseball cap and a pair of dark sunglasses, so they don't recognize you on the security cameras. You're an angel, Linda. I just hope you know what you're doing, Mr. Sullivan. This is very risky. I know, but sometimes you have to risk everything to save what matters. She nodded. At 3 o'clock sharp, I'll trigger the alarm. When you hear the siren, you have to move fast. Take the emergency stairs. Don't use the elevator. The stairs will take you straight to the basement parking garage. Your wife told me she'll be waiting in a gray Honda CR-V near the exit. Thank you, Linda, for everything. Take care of yourselves, both of you. She squeezed my hand one last time and left. I was alone in the room.
My heart was pounding. The machines around me beeped normally. Outside in the hall, I could hear the usual hospital bustle. Nurses walking, doctors talking, food carts rolling by. Everything normal, everything quiet. I looked at the clock on the wall. 2:57. 3 minutes. I carefully removed the sensors from my arm. The machine monitoring my heart started to beep erratically, but I shut it off quickly. I sat up in bed. My legs were trembling, but they responded. 2:58. I stood up. The floor swayed a bit under my feet, but I held on to the edge of the bed. I took a deep breath. I could do this. I had to do this. 2:59. I opened the plastic bag. I took out the scrubs. I slipped off the hospital gown and put on the clothes. The pants were a little loose, but they worked. The shirt fit. I put on the cap and the sunglasses. 3 o'clock. The fire alarm exploded in the hallway. A deafening siren. Shouts, footsteps, running. It was time. I opened my door. The hallway was total chaos. Nurses running to the other end, doctors yelling instructions, patients poking their heads out of their doors, confused. No one paid any attention to me. I was just another staff member in the middle of the chaos. I walked to the emergency stairs. Every step was an effort. My legs were weak after 2 weeks in bed, but I kept going. One step, another step, another. I reached the stairwell door. I opened it. The sound of the alarm muffled slightly. I started down floor by floor. My legs were screaming in pain, but I didn't stop. 5th floor, 4th floor, 3rd. On the 2nd floor, I heard voices from above. False alarm. It's a false alarm. Everyone back to your stations. I quickened my pace. I had to get out before they realized I wasn't in my room. 1st floor, ground floor, basement. The parking garage door. I pushed it open. The cool air hit my face. The smell of gasoline and concrete. The sound of cars. I looked around. Where was Beatrice? Then I saw it. The gray Honda CR-V parked near the exit. The lights flashed twice. It was her. I walked toward the car as fast as I could. Every step was agony, but I didn't care. I was so close to freedom. The passenger door opened. Beatrice was there, tears rolling down her cheeks. "Michael," she gasped. "My God, you made it." I got in the car. I shut the door. Beatrice hit the gas immediately. "Did anyone see us?" she asked as we sped out of the garage. "I don't know. I don't think so." We passed the exit booth. The security guard didn't even look at us. He was distracted, probably by the fire alarm. And then we were out, on the street, free. Beatrice drove in silence for several minutes. Her hands were shaking on the steering wheel. I kept looking in the rearview mirror, expecting to see police lights flashing, chasing us. But there was nothing, just normal city traffic on a Friday afternoon. "We did it," I whispered finally. "We really did it." "We're not celebrating yet," she said. "We still have to get to the airport, get through immigration, and get on that plane. We'll make it. We're past the hardest part." Beatrice drove south, avoiding the main routes. She had planned the path carefully. Side streets, less traffic, fewer cameras. "How long do you think until they realize you're gone?" "Depends. If all goes well, maybe an hour, maybe 2. By the time Robert gets back from his meeting, I should be reported missing. What if they track the car?" "This car isn't in your name or mine," you reminded her. "You registered it with your maiden name, using an old address. It'll be very hard to trace." Beatrice had thought of everything. My smart, careful wife, who had always been the silent strategist behind my success. We got back to our house in Beverly Hills 40 minutes later. Beatrice drove into the garage and shut the automatic door quickly. "We have to be fast," she said.
Take only what is absolutely essential. We walked into the house, our house, the house where we had lived for 22 years, the house where Robert and Sarah grew up, the house full of memories. I looked around. The photographs on the walls, the furniture Beatrice had chosen so carefully, the piano Sarah used to play, Robert's soccer trophy on the shelf. We were leaving all of this behind.
Don't get sentimental now, Beatrice said, reading my mind. There's no going back. She was right. We went up to the study. Beatrice got the 2 suitcases she had prepared. There was also a backpack with important documents, passports, birth certificates, deeds, contracts. Did you get the photos I asked for? I asked. Yes. Our wedding, the kids when they were little, your parents. Her voice cracked a little. Before everything went wrong. I checked my desk. There was a letter I had written days ago. When I started planning this, I took it from the drawer. It was in a sealed envelope addressed to Robert and Sarah. Are you leaving them that? Beatrice asked. Yes. They deserve to know why we left and what they did wrong. I left the letter on the desk in plain sight. Then I took one last look at my study, at the diplomas on the wall, the furniture Beatrice had chosen so carefully, the piano Sarah used to play, Robert's soccer trophy on the shelf. We were leaving all of this behind. Don't get sentimental now, Beatrice said, reading my mind. There's no going back. She was right. We went up to the study. Beatrice got the 2 suitcases she had prepared. There was also a backpack with important documents, passports, birth certificates, deeds, contracts. Did you get the photos I asked for? I asked. Yes. Our wedding, the kids when they were little, your parents. Her voice cracked a little. Before everything went wrong. I checked my desk. There was a letter I had written days ago. When I started planning this, I took it from the drawer. It was in a sealed envelope addressed to Robert and Sarah. Are you leaving them that? Beatrice asked. Yes. They deserve to know why we left and what they did wrong. I left the letter on the desk in plain sight. Then I took one last look at my study, at the diplomas on the wall, the photos with presidents and governors, the business awards. None of it mattered anymore. It was just paper, just memories of a man who no longer existed. We went downstairs with the suitcases. In the living room, Beatrice stopped in front of a family photo. It was taken 5 years ago at Christmas. We were all smiling, a happy family. How did we get to this? She whispered. I don't know. Maybe we gave them too much. Maybe they took too much. Maybe money just ruins everything. I went to her and held her. But it doesn't matter anymore. What matters is that you and I are together, and we're going to be okay. She nodded, wiping her tears. Let's go before I change my mind. We got in the car. Beatrice activated the house security code one last time. The lights shut off automatically. The garage door opened and we pulled out, headed for the airport, headed for a new life. The traffic to LAX was heavy as always on a Friday afternoon. Beatrice drove carefully, staying in the middle lane, not drawing attention. My phone was off. Beatrix was too. They couldn't track us by GPS. We had thought of everything. Do you think they've noticed yet? Beatrice asked when we were 10 minutes from the airport. I looked at my watch. It was 5:30 p.m., probably. Robert must have called the hospital after his meeting, asked about me, and they told him I vanished. They've definitely called the police by now. But they're looking for a comatose patient who disappeared from a hospital, I said. They're not looking for a man in street clothes leaving the country with his wife. We arrived at the airport. Beatrice parked in the long-term lot. We got our bags. We walked toward the terminal. Every step inside the airport was tense. I kept looking around, expecting to see police officers looking for us, expecting to hear my name over the loudspeakers, expecting someone to recognize us. But nothing happened. We were just another middle-aged couple with suitcases going to catch a flight. We got to the check-in counter. The agent smiled at us. Good evening. Passports, please? We handed them over. She checked them, typed something into her computer. My heart was beating so loud I thought everyone could hear it. Travel, business, or pleasure? She asked. Pleasure, Beatrice said calmly. We're going to see Portugal. How lovely. I hope you enjoy your trip. She handed us back our passports along with the boarding passes. Your flight leaves from gate C47, boarding in 2 hours. Thank you. We walked to immigration. The lines were long. We waited our turn. Finally, we reached the immigration officer.
Passports? We gave them to him. The officer checked them, looked at the photos, looked at us, then at the photos again. How long will you be out of the country? He asked. We're not sure, I replied. Maybe a month, maybe 2. He nodded, stamped the passports. Have a good trip. And that was it. We were through immigration. We were on the other side, in the international zone. They couldn't stop us now without creating an international incident. Beatrice took my hand as we walked toward our gate. You know what the craziest part of all this is? She said. I feel more free right now, leaving everything behind, than I have in the last 10 years living in that huge house. I feel the same way, I admitted. It's like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders. We found gate C47. We sat in the waiting area. We had almost 2 hours before boarding. I pulled out my phone. I turned it on one last time. Immediately, messages flooded in. Dozens of messages. Missed calls. From Sarah. Robert, where is Dad? The hospital says he vanished. From Robert. Mom, are you okay? The hospital says Dad is gone. Please call us. We're worried. And then, the most recent one, sent 10 minutes ago from Robert. Mom, if you're reading this, I need you to know something. Dad wasn't in a coma. It was all a lie. He tricked us. And now you're going to face legal consequences for insurance fraud and for stealing corporate assets. I've called my lawyer. We're freezing all the accounts and we will find you. This isn't over. I read the message aloud to Beatrice. She turned pale. Can they do that? Freeze the accounts? They can try, I replied, but Mendoza already moved the important assets and they can't touch the cash we're carrying. We'll be fine. But they say they'll look for us. Let them look. Portugal doesn't have an extradition treaty with the U.S. for minor financial crimes, and what we did isn't technically illegal. I have the right to move my own money. I have the right to leave the country, and faking a coma isn't a crime. Still, the message had disturbed me, not because of the legal threats, but because of the tone. There was so much rage there, so much poison. This was my son, the boy I taught to ride a bike. And now he hated me for not letting him rob me. I wrote one last message to Robert and Sarah, a message I never expected to have to write. Children, by the time you read this, your mother and I will be far away. I know you're angry. I know you feel betrayed, but you betrayed us first. I heard you in the hospital. I heard every word. I heard you planning to put your mother in a nursing home. I heard you planning to sell my company. I heard you planning to divide everything up as if I were already in the ground. So, I made a decision.
The only decision I had left. We left. We took what was ours, what we built with our own 2 hands, and we are going to start over far away from you. Don't try to find us. You won't. And even if you do, we're not coming back. Maybe one day you'll understand what you did wrong. Maybe one day, when you're my age, your own children will do the same to you. And on that day, maybe, just maybe, you will understand my pain. Goodbye, your father. I hit send. Then, I turned off the phone for good. I took out the SIM card, broke it in 2, and dropped it in a trash can. Is it over? Beatrice asked. It's over. 6 months later, I'm sitting on the terrace of our small apartment in Porto, watching the Douro River glitter in the afternoon sun. Beatrice is in the kitchen making bacalhau, a dish she learned to cook here. The smell fills the air and makes me smile. Our life is simple now, radically simple compared to what we had. This apartment has 2 bedrooms, a small living room, a cozy kitchen. There's no pool, no $1,000 garden, no household staff, and it's perfect. Every morning we walk the cobblestone streets of the Riviera. We drink coffee in little cafes where the owners already know us by name. Bon dia, Mikel. Bon dia, Beatrice. We sit in the plaza and just watch life go by. No hurry, no stress, no weight of a business empire on my shoulders. The money we brought was enough. Mendoza managed to discreetly transfer a considerable portion of my assets to European accounts before Robert could do anything. We're not rich here, not like we were, but we have enough to live with dignity and tranquility.
Robert tried to track us for the first 3 months. He hired private investigators. He filed reports. He made a scene in the local business news. "Businessman disappears with wife and millions," the headline said. But he never found us. We legally changed our names. We settled in a quiet neighborhood where no one asks questions. We became what we always should have been. Just Michael and Beatrice. Sarah wrote me a letter 2 months ago. Mendoza got it to me securely. I read it with a heavy heart. "Dad," it said, "I know I don't deserve for you to listen. I know I failed you in the most horrible way possible. Robert and I sold the company. We split the money. We put Mom in the home just like we planned before we realized you were gone. Daniel and I are divorced. It turns out he was only interested in the money. When he saw that you had left with a large part of the assets, he left me. Robert lost all his money in bad investments. Now he asks me for loans. And I, with a conscience that eats at me every night, keep giving it to him because I don't know what else to do. Dad, if you ever read this, if you ever know what happened to me, forgive me, not for the money. The money doesn't matter. Forgive me for not defending you, for not defending Mom, for being so blind, so weak, so stupid. I'm not asking you to come back. I'm just asking you to know that I live with the regret of losing you every single day. I love you. Your daughter, Sarah." I cried when I finished the letter. I cried for the daughter I lost, for the family that broke, for the years we will never get back. But I didn't reply. And I'm not going to, because some things once broken can't be repaired, and some betrayals are too deep to forgive. Beatrice comes out onto the terrace with 2 cups of tea. She sits next to me and we watch the sunset over the river together. "What are you thinking about?" she asks. "That we made the right decision," I reply. "That this simple life, this peace, this is what matters. Not the money, not the properties, not the status, just this." She takes my hand. Her fingers lace into mine, just like they did 34 years ago when we got married, with nothing but love and hope. "Do you miss home?" she asks. "I miss the home I knew when I was young, the country I fought for, the true friends I had. But I don't miss what our life became there. I don't miss being my children's personal bank. I don't miss the stress. I don't miss the betrayals. And the grandchildren? That hurts the most. The grandchildren I barely knew, who will grow up without knowing who their grandparents really were. That's the price we paid," I say finally, "and it's a high price. But I prefer this to living as prisoners of our own family." The sun disappears completely. The city lights begin to turn on. Porto shines like a string of pearls along the river. "You know what I learned from all this?" Beatrice says. "That you can't buy respect with money, that true love doesn't need mansions or luxury cars, and that sometimes, to save yourself, you have to be willing to lose everything." You're right. My wise Beatrice is always right. We stay there until the night completely covers the sky. Tomorrow will be another day. We'll walk through the market, we'll buy fresh bread and cheese, maybe we'll go to the beach at Montesinos, maybe we'll just sit in a cafe and watch the world go by. And we will be together, as it always should have been. Because in the end, after all the money, all the success, all the properties and all the businesses, the only thing that really matters is this: having someone who loves you for who you are, not for what you have. My name is Michael Sullivan. I'm 58 years old. I lost a fortune. I lost a company. I lost my children, but I won my freedom. I won my dignity, and I want a second chance to live the life I always wanted to live. And that, believe me, is priceless. If this story touched your heart, it's because somewhere, somehow, we've all felt betrayal. We've all had to make hard decisions. We've all had to choose between what is comfortable and what is right. I hope you never go through what I did, but if you ever find yourself in a similar situation, remember this: your dignity is worth more than any inheritance. Your peace of mind is worth more than any property, and the people who truly love you will never ask you to give up either one. Take care of those who take care of you. Value those who value you, and never ever let anyone, not even your own blood, take away what is rightfully yours: your dignity. This is my story, the story of a man who had everything and lost it all, and in losing it, discovered he never needed it at all. From Porto, Portugal, with a new life and a heart finally at peace.